I'm right wing. Clearly, I'm right wing, but some of the things we did, especially at the end of Bolsonaro's term, those things don't sit well with me. Him leaving the country and leaving people here protesting like we saw. Wow, well,
Glad you have that awareness.
that should have turned out differently. If he was already in a situation where it was over, like I really lost, I should move on from here, he should have told those people who were there at the. Don't you think he should have
Have handed over the sash?
handed over the sash? That's fine, I agree. Letting the people who were protesting know to leave from there, right? For sure.
To leave the camps?
I'm not sure how long those people stayed, but they stayed for quite a long time, in a difficult situation, showing support for him, which he definitely should have valued more. Gentlemen, we won't be able to take any action that reverses what you think, Bolsonaro.
Did he lose his nerve during Vandre?
He should have had a different attitude in that situation. Was that the case? Definitely.
I thought that was regrettable because, like I told you, honestly, maybe if Bolsonaro had stayed, maybe he would have had broader support, even from the military, because people thought, Michel, that the military would step in.
I remember that time very well, Andrea Gonçalves. I remember it was very sad because there was always hope that he would come to give a press conference with something new, with something that would renew that feeling like, guys, I believe that Lula is back. It can't be possible that he just got out of jail to become our president again. This can't be happening. But every time he gave some interviews and some press conferences, it was always very vague. It was very open. He didn't say anything specific.
There was even a double meaning, right, Michel?
To a certain extent, yes. But he didn't say, for sure, gentlemen, get out of there, nor did he say, stay there because I'm working to reverse this. And they just stayed. They kept staying. There's even a situation that's still mocked to this day, saying they were singing the national anthem to a tire. That's still talked about today. They held all those protests there, burned tires, blocked highways. Bolsonaro would come and give an interview, and people would be like, man, what now? Are we going? Is it over? Is he coming back in 72 hours with some news? Never before. There was always some story that in 72 hours something legal would happen, that it would help us, that something was wrong, that new evidence of fraud in the electoral process was about to come out. And they stayed. And they stayed on.
They believe Bolsonaro.
In this situation, there's no way we can fully defend it, unless there's some extremely plausible explanation that we don't have access to. But looking at it from here now, evaluating from the outside, there's no way we can fully support what happened.
Yeah, like I mentioned here, I think the saddest part of all this, Michel, in my opinion, and I'm left wing, as you know, I believe that many people were led into that situation.
Because the leaders by the leaders.
Because, for example, like you said, there were people who were waiting for proof of fraud in the voting machines. There was a person who was waiting for the situation they said existed, but it was never shown. And that person ended up being led into that situation. Bolsonaro, instead of saying, look, let's fight, let's confront, or even go home, it's over, let it go. No, Bolsonaro stayed silent.
He went to the United States. That's what's sad. I still don't understand it.
People got screwed because of him.
Why did he do that? Unless there's an extremely well-founded explanation for all that, I don't consider that the right thing to do at that moment, for sure.
The explanation is that he didn't, in my view, he couldn't handle it.
And he ran away.
He went to the United States to wait and see what would happen. He fed that whole situation, kept feeding it, and it grew, and it turned into something that maybe even he lost control of. But he didn't have the decency to say, guys, it's over. The man won. Hand over the presidential sash.
It's over. Go home, even if it's the last days of his administration.
Exactly.
But not let it get as far as it did. Exactly. Because those people who were there showing unconditional support without bathrooms, in tents, sometimes sleeping out in the open, in the rain, in excessive heat, they didn't get any kind of support afterwards when the security forces, the police most of the time, came to remove them from there. And some of them were even convicted as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
We can't offer support without knowing what happened behind the scenes.
That's right. It felt like cattle going to slaughter because there were people who were herded there and led along, and they got screwed. And what I find saddest about Bolsonaro is that he didn't have the decency to take responsibility for this situation. And it ended up leading to what happened. Unfortunately, where the law was applied, justice was served. Of course, there are contradictions. There's the whole situation we just discussed. But now we'll see this week if Congress.
So, in your view, what happened on January 8th, undoubtedly, without any question, was an attempted coup.
It was an attempted coup.
If, for example, we had a situation, I'm going to go back to what we were discussing here just now. I will. If we had a situation where the head of the Supreme Court, the president of the Supreme Court, was not appointed by a previous government, he had maybe, how can I put it, this closeness with Lula's government, with the current president, do you think he could have handled this in a different way? That it wasn't an attempted coup? That the situation on January 8th could be considered damage to public property and have a penalty consistent with that if it were another investigator?
No. Because of the background you just mentioned. The background to this whole situation was the coup mongering. It was that they didn't accept Lula's victory. They didn't accept this situation, and what does that amount to? An attempted coup.
Not as a protest, because not accepting his victory really causes outrage, just like the left probably felt in 2018. Yes.
But the left didn't go out on the streets to destroy the Supreme Court, destroy the National Congress, destroy the Planalto Palace. The left didn't call for Article 142 for the military to come save us.
Please.
The left didn't sing the national anthem to the tire. The left didn't do this here to sign the terrestrial exit to see if someone would come help. The left didn't set up camps. The left didn't block highways or federal roads in Brazil. The left didn't go down to the Three Powers Square.
This is a protest.
What did the left do?
But they didn't protest.
They prepared for the next election.
That's how democracy works. Winner takes all. That's why we don't take it so well, because the left's preparation for the next election, no dear.
Not so well. It was really bad.
No.
I don't even include you in that group of coup plotters who went there on January 8th.
Because the right didn't accept it so well, because you...
Michelle, you're not accepting it, Michelle, is one thing. You holding a protest is one thing. You invading, vandalizing, doing what they did, broadcasted to the world.
They vandalized, exactly.
Yes, they vandalized.
With the sense of protest.
A protest is what we're doing here. We're protesting. They wanted to overthrow the elected government. And that you may not even agree. I might even think that in certain situations, maybe the person didn't deserve such a harsh sentence. It's in the penal code. This is an attempted coup and a violent effort to abolish the state.
So there are some situations where maybe you, if you were in that position, would give a lighter sentence to those people.
But there were lighter sentences.
Michelle?
Let me tell you something.
In general.
A non-prosecution agreement was presented for more than 1,000 people. What does a non-prosecution agreement mean? The person would not be prosecuted. The person would have to say they regretted it, would pay a fine, would do something to understand what democracy is, and that's it. They wouldn't even have a criminal record. Why? Those were the people who were kind of there, kind of lost.
Just followed the crowd. That's it.
There were more than 1,000 people. A little over 600 accepted, others did not. Those who were actually convicted were a smaller group. Those were the ones who were recorded, breaking things, attacking people, confronting the police. Just so you know, 40 police officers were injured that day. And keep in mind, they were unarmed, okay? But there were rocks and everything. There was Corporal Marcella. Her helmet became like steel. It was strapped on tight. If that rock had hit Marcella's head, even though I think she's actually right-wing, she could have been killed. So we have to recognize that the situation is very serious. And in cases where perhaps the sentence was a bit harsher, there is an appeal process. Now, most of them had a non-prosecution agreement, most of them, and many did not accept it. Why? Because it's an ideological issue. If they could do it, and if they have the opportunity, they will do it again. This is very serious.
Do you think these people could do something like this again?
Absolutely.
Even after the sentence they received?
Absolutely, especially with Flavio Bolsonaro. With